Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to another Calgary Stampeders game day post. We are now in week 21, the final week of the 2025 CFL regular season, as the Calgary Stampeders wrap up the regular season portion of their schedule up in Edmonton, as they'll be taking on the Edmonton Elks. This will be on Friday, October the 24th. It'll be a 7:30 Mountain kickoff, and I am recording this a couple hours prior to the game when it's kickoff. Also a massive night with the Toronto Blue Jays starting their World Series. Yeah, the Blue Jays are in the World Series. Game 1 at home against the Los Angeles Dodgers, so go Jays. And then the Flames, they're in Winnipeg. Let's go for Gavin McKenna with terms of tanking. But back with the game at hand for the Calgary Stampeders. This will be a final game for a tune-up for the playoffs, as the Calgary Stampeders are going to the playoffs after missing the playoffs last year, while the Edmonton Elks won't be going to the playoffs. I'm still anticipating a Battle of Alberta either way, and there's going to still be pride on the line and season series, as Calgary coming into this game, they are 10-7, third in the West Division, while the Edmonton Elks, they are fifth in the West Division, but with a somewhat respectable 7-10 record coming in, given where the team's been at the last few seasons. Season series is still in the line because Labor Day, Calgary won on Labor Day. If I recall, the exact score was 28-7, while the Edmonton Elks, they defeated us at the rematch. It was 31-19. So season series still in the line, and the Calgary Stampeders don't have any major lineup changes. I know that Jalen Philpot is out of the lineup at receiver, but it's been a platoon of receivers all year, still led by Vernon Adams Jr. at quarterback, and Dedrick Mills, who is likely going to be the CFL's rushing leader, and hopefully the defense can be back on track, as Calgary has won the last two games, including the big 44-13 win against the Toronto Argonauts last week. The Calgary Stampeders are still treating this game as a tune-up for the playoffs, and the fact that they still have something to play for, not entirely all in their control. But Calgary could still host the West semifinal next Saturday, November the 1st. However, they have to win this game, and they'll be doing some scoreboard watching tomorrow, as three scenarios could play out. If Calgary loses tonight, well, they're going to be going on the road to take on the BC Lions, and the BC Lions will be hosting the West semifinal, regardless of what happens tomorrow, because BC has the season series. But if Calgary does win tonight, they'll need to wait till tomorrow, because three scenarios can still play out with action tomorrow, because the Calgary Stampeders could still potentially not only be hosting the West semifinal, they could either be playing the BC Lions or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the scenario that Calgary will be hosting the West semifinal and host the Winnipeg Blue Bombers would be that both Calgary would have to win tonight, and Winnipeg would have to beat Montreal tomorrow, and then BC would have to lose against Saskatchewan tomorrow for that to happen. And Montreal is doing some scoreboard watching tonight, because the Hamilton Tiger Cats are playing the Ottawa Redblacks in the earlier game tonight. If Hamilton wins tonight, then they host and clinch first in the East Division and host the East Final, and then Montreal would have to settle for the West or the East semifinal. So depends how that plays out. Calgary would play BC. Hosting BC would be if Calgary wins tonight and Winnipeg loses in Montreal tomorrow. and then BC wins, because Winnipeg has the tiebreak on the BC Lions, and then if Calgary wins tonight, but the BC Lions win tomorrow in Saskatchewan, then BC will still get second place and host the West semifinal. So Calgary can at least help themselves and win tonight and still have the scoreboard watch tomorrow. So Calgary's still going to have to potentially prepare to take on the BC Lions either here or there, or maybe the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but we'll figure that out in a week. So a lot still has to be decided, because the only thing we know for sure right now before action in week 21 is the Saskatchewan Roughriders are hosting the West Finals. They clinched the West Division a couple weeks ago. So yeah, all this action and comes down to week 21 on who's going to be in the playoffs. And then I'll try to, when everything gets decided this weekend, I guess I'll get back to doing my On the Road to the Grey Cup, as I'll try to preview all 5 games, both the East and West semifinals, the East and West final, and of course the 112th Grey Cup, which will be in Winnipeg, Manitoba this season. There's still potential that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers could, be in the Grey Cup. However, let's say if they cross over, and that is still likely the most likely scenario. I should add in the Calgary Stampeders will be in the west side of the bracket regardless of what happens, because Calgary has the season series on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but the BC Lions have this, or Winnipeg Blue Bombers have the season series on the BC Lions. That's what happened. Let's say if all 3 teams from second to fourth place finish with a 10-8 record, which that could still potentially happen. So it's been a tough West Division this season, which seems to have been the trend the last several years. So, but Calgary, I still say coming in, is treating this game as a must-win, or try to get back on track in the playoffs. I mean, they did lose 4 in a row there after Labor Day, but looks like they're back on track after a convincing win in Hamilton and then last week in Toronto. But, we want to get off to a good start going into the playoffs. And sometimes teams that are playing their best football going into the playoffs ultimately is the team that wins the Grey Cup. And Calgary was playing their best football in June and July, but they don't award the Grey Cup in June and July. They award it in November. So that's all I have for the Calgary Stampeders game day video post. As at least there'll be one more game day video post, and then preview the games in the playoffs once everything gets settled from action this week. We can find out as soon as tonight, if Calgary does not win, that they will be going to Vancouver to take on the BC Lions in Vancouver. However, I'm going to say best case scenario, given the strength of the team's schedule and how Calgary's done this season, best case scenario would be hosting the West semifinal against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But I would like to at least have one more chance to go to the stadium this year. Unfortunately, just this year I haven't been able to make it to as many home games for various reasons. I only got to go to 2 home games, and I guess it made it up just a little going to Montreal, but things just didn't work out for various reasons this season. Maybe it's a sign that even as a fan I've lost a step, but I'm still planning on getting tickets again next season regardless. Because we're hosting the big game, but I'm going to have that annual discussion with myself about, I think might be time to look at upgrading. Because I wouldn't mind moving down a little at the old stadium after being where I've been for the last 28 seasons. So as I was saying, if I want to close out this, and you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below. So I'm going to say go Stamps go. Let's finish off the season strong and finish off against the Edmonton Elks. I guess I'll say let's go Jays for the World Series. And I'm a Flames fan, but we definitely need to tank for Gavin McKenna. We're finally get out of the mushy middle and let's stink this year and tank it out. All right? So, hear that, Murray? Okay? So I just want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.